Whoops. Good morning, everybody. Today is Friday, April 23rd. It is just past 10 a.m. We're going to go live here in Phoenix. Today, we're going to catch you up on what's going on, answer a few questions, and hopefully give you a few suggestions on what not to do if you're moving here to Phoenix. So stay tuned. What's up, everybody? It's Greg Corbett with the AZ Lifestyle Group right here in Phoenix, Arizona. If this is your first time to this channel and you're looking to find out everything you need to know about what it's like living in and or moving to the Phoenix metro area, make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you can be notified whenever we post a new video. And we are helping people from all over when it comes to finding the best places and neighborhoods to live here, and we absolutely love it. So if you're even thinking about making a move and you need any assistance whatsoever, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email. However you want to get a hold of us, we got you back when it comes to moving to the Phoenix Metro. All right, we'll jump back in. I think everybody saw Rudy here when we first went live. Rudy, good morning, sir. How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Hope I wasn't doing anything crazy while I was on
camera. You were. You got to watch out for that, man.
Was I taking my morning shot? Is that what I was doing?
Probably. Was that tequila this morning, or what? What were you having? What were you having?
It's been a rough morning, so we're definitely tequila.
Hey, it is what it is. Now we're obviously going live here on Friday. It's not Thursday. I don't know if anybody really cares, but that's all right. But let's touch base on why we're going on Friday. We're traveling yesterday. Tell us about where you're at and what's going on.
Yeah, I'm in Dallas right now, and we're spending time with my in-laws, having a great time. But yeah, I'll be here for a few more days, heading back to AZ on Sunday. So looking forward to being back home. But yeah,
I heard a rumor that you were actually looking to move back there. You said I'm done with Scottsdale and Phoenix, and I'm ready to move back to Dallas. Is that true?
I'm done with the beautiful weather. I'm done with the great restaurants. I'm done with the amazing winter times. Yes, I'm done with all that.
Stuff. Okay. Well, I don't know. Dallas might offer something. You were living in Dallas for a while. What does the market look like in Dallas right now? Just so do you know any? Are you talking to anybody over there? I know you're doing a lot of loans still over there.
It's just as crazy as it is in AZ. Really, it is. Like it's almost mirror images of each other. Above list price, full appraisal waivers. I actually had somebody, it wasn't my deal, but I did speak to someone on a listing side that had a 12-month lease back for free. Yeah. Which I didn't even know that was even a possibility, but the sellers are living for free for a whole year. That's a pretty good setup there for them.
We're gonna get into like things that I would not suggest doing. That's probably one of the things that I would probably not suggest doing. But hey, you got to be creative. There's a certain line maybe you should draw, maybe you should. I don't know. I guess everybody's a little bit different. We'll talk about what scenarios might fit people in a little bit here. But that's crazy here actually. And I was on the phone yesterday with somebody who's shout out to Lamont yesterday for jumping on a call with me. He's moving from New Jersey. They're moving out to Arizona or hope to move out to Arizona. They have Texas in the back of their mind as a second option. And we were talking about it. I'm like, I everything I've heard is, and that's probably Dallas, Houston, and especially Austin. I mean, Austin is probably the hottest market in the country right now. So I would imagine a lot of places in Texas are going through the same thing that we are here.
Austin is at an inventory of supply. I'm sorry it's a week and a half of supply of inventory in Austin. Actually, just yeah, right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
What are we at here? Like 3 weeks? I don't know. Like
yeah, here we're twice that much here. So we're a little bit better here than we are in Austin. It's ridiculous, and it's not slowing down. Again, it just doesn't. The signs are not pointing to it slowing down. And this particular example that I gave you of the 12-month lease back, just to talk about it for a second here, is the buyers wanted to go ahead and lock in the prices today instead of waiting 12 months, and the sellers wanted to go ahead and cash in on their equity today, as opposed to possibly risking it in the future and rolling the dice. So it was almost just a perfect marriage between the two philosophies.
Yeah.
The buyer side and the seller side. So that's why in that particular instance it worked. So
Yep.
there you go.
Yeah, no, and look, like I definitely am open to scenarios like that where, hey, if you can find a win-win and
Right.
it's a good fit, and somebody's like, hey, I want to lock it in because I feel like the pricing is going to be higher next year, and this allows me to do what I need to do. I don't need to move right away. I just know that I'm locking in the house that I want. Sure, I'm open to having that conversation with any buyer and seller, and creating a good match if it's the right fit for people. But man, I wouldn't want to press anybody. Like if a seller is demanding that and a buyer is skeptical about that in any way, there's no way I'm telling a buyer to be like, hey, that's what you need to do to get a home in this market. I'm not doing it. So, and we're seeing some things like, I'll share a post here. Might as well even bring it up right now because. And Rudy, you're probably not on. I don't even know. Like I think lenders can get on this, but there's a Arizona Real Estate Forum for agents, and so this post came up, and it's always fun. I don't really plug into this too much, but I like seeing what certain agents post, and it was a seller was asking $6,000 non-refundable earnest deposit, and you can't see the house until you're actually under contract. And and obviously, a lot of negative response to that, which totally understandable. That type of stuff that's not. I don't think most sellers are probably asking for that. That's agents trying to be like, hey, I can come up with an idea for you. I don't know. I that type of stuff is silly to me. I don't think that helps. I don't really think that helps the seller. You're limiting your buyer pool, and like, how does that help the seller at all? But stuff like that, it's like, stay away from stuff like that.
Yeah, and you kind of you can't blame sellers for wanting to cash in and optimize this opportunity. I hate.
Sure.
Yes, you just can't blame them, but at the same time, there's got to be a fine line on, like you just said, at what point as a seller are you just asking for so much that you're now limiting the amount of people that would actually buy your house with reasonable terms.
Yep.
And I think all of us are responsible buyers, sellers, agents, lenders. We're all in the same boat, and we're all just trying to make it work for everybody. But yeah, I think it's our duty as real estate professionals to just advise our clients, both on the selling and buying side, to make smart decisions and decisions that are going to help them not only win the offer, but if you're on the selling side, to get as many offers as possible to make it worth your while. Yeah, that's a pretty bad situation there with the whole 6,000.
I obviously we help sellers as well, and if I'm doing a listing, I want to do everything I can to maximize the seller situation and try to take care of them. But when it comes to real estate, to make everybody happy, you got to have win-win scenarios. So, there's got to be a situation where you can get the most for your seller by working with the buyer to make them happy at the same time. Otherwise, you're not really helping anybody, and then you're opening yourself up to a big can of worms if somebody closes unhappy, or if they end up just canceling, and then you're back on the market potentially having to explain why people canceled, and that never works well either. So look, we're in a market right now where you can get away with a few more things as a seller that you typically can't get away with, but there is a certain line that you probably don't want to cross.
Yeah, and it's our job, obviously as real estate professionals, Greg, to take the emotion out of the decision making as much as possible. It's never going to be 100% possible, but to present facts and to just present ideas that could hopefully help you make smart decisions, as opposed to just kind of on a whim expecting unreasonable things. But it's neither here nor there. We're doing our best.
Yeah, and I would ask anybody who's watching out there: have you heard any scenarios, any crazy things that you've seen? I'd love to hear people's comments on maybe what they're hearing from their end. Because again, like when I have Zoom conversations, and when Rudy and I are on with people talking about it, like our goal is to not say this entire market is scary and don't even mess with it. But there are certain situations where it's like we'll probably advise you to be like, you know what, probably not worth your time. So are there still opportunities to come out here and not getting to crazy bidding wars where you're going way over list? Yes. Like, don't think that the entire market is like that. But there are going to be certain houses that are very, very, maybe they just are in the perfect neighborhood. They're the finish level is like what a lot of people are looking for. They're just going to be highly desired. Those are the ones that we're seeing these crazy multiple offers over list, that type of thing. We'll try to guide you in the best way to be like, this is probably going to be one where you're going to need to bid up, and this is probably one where you're probably good right around list, or not having to go crazy bending over for what the seller wants you to do.
Yeah, and and on the loan side, kind of to geek out a little bit, but on the loan side, if you're putting 10% or more down, there are strategies in place where I can help with the loan, where if the appraisal does come in low, we can adjust the down payment. We can do some creative numbers with the mortgage insurance and the interest rate, so that your out-of-pocket expenses don't necessarily increase and your monthly payment doesn't necessarily increase also. Now, obviously, it's a case by case and it has to be very specific to your situation. But if you're coming into this market expecting to put 10, 15, 20% down or more, I can structure the loan in case there is an appraisal gap where you actually will not have to come out of pocket with that extra money and make it still make it work for you. Yeah,
and thankfully, I'm hearing recently, and I every appraiser is going to be a little bit different as well, but it seems like from the stories I'm hearing and in our situations of the deals that we're closing, appraisers are being pretty good about getting the value to where it needs to be. So we're not seeing significant shortages that cause people to be in these positions where they're having to come out of pocket as much. Now, I'm always going to be in a cautious situation because, again, you never know what you're going to get from an appraiser. But I feel a little bit more comfortable seeing that it's like, okay, we can be a little bit more aggressive, potentially saying, hey, as long as it appraises at this amount, feel free to waive the rest of it and put you in a better position. That does allow you to compete. Because you do need to have a little bit of leverage there because other people are waiving appraisals altogether. So you want to be able to compete with that a little bit. And now, when it comes to waiving inspections, we're hearing this stuff too. I'm never going to let anybody I'm working with waive an inspection. I don't think that makes any sense. Let's lessen the days, maybe shorten it down a little bit. If you're that comfortable with the house, but I don't feel from working as an agent and working on behalf of buyers that we should ever waive an inspection altogether.
Yeah, and to that point, I've had clients in the past over the last 12 months that put a bid on a house and saw it and won the bid sight unseen from out of state. And when they flew in to take a look at the house, after the inspection or just after walking through the house, they decided it wasn't really for them. So I completely agree with you. It's not the whole virtual offer environment that we're in right now. It's definitely convenient for those that are looking to relocate to Arizona, but you still have to do your due diligence and still actually see the house in person to make sure that it's worth what you're actually paying for.
Yeah, and I've had, I hear certain, I worked in wholesale for a little bit of time as well, and it's kind of something I've sporadically done working with investors throughout my time as a real estate agent, where, that happens a lot, where somebody can go in and buy sight unseen on a deal, and it's like, look, I know enough about it. If you're an investor who's flipping houses or doing that type of thing, and you're like, I know that I can fix something if there's a problem because I'm getting a good enough deal, sure, I can understand that perspective of waiving an appraisal, or waiving an inspection, where it's like, look, I know that if there's a little issue comes up, I'm getting a good enough deal that I can make it. But when people are overbidding and not know for sure if there's look, newer houses, as long as you get to walk through it a little bit, you probably can feel pretty good about it. But I think that you always need to have a pro walkthrough, see if there's any little miscellaneous things that could be, a cost. So if you're getting a good enough deal, we can talk about shortening that type of thing, but I just think that it's a little too risky, and from a liability perspective on all of us, it's probably not a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's the inspections. That's one thing that I can understand on the appraisal, but the inspection is one that I would not. I wouldn't budge on that one.
We got a question coming in from VJ Clarkson. VJ, good to see you on the show. Thanks for jumping in and having a question. I got to fix this so people can see it. The question is Peoria Glendale area safe? And yeah, so it's Peoria and Glendale obviously are they're two big areas. So they're going to have some areas that probably aren't as desirable as others. Like there's a lot of times when I'm talking to people about Peoria and Glendale, I talk about the area north of Cactus Road being a little bit newer, and so that seems to be more desirable. There's more newer neighborhoods popping up. You tend to have a little bit better ratings with the schools when you start looking online and that type of thing. The other areas tend to be a little bit older. Everybody has a different perspective on what is considered safe. There's going to be certain neighborhoods where you're going to have a little bit of crime when it comes to theft and that type of thing. So you're going to have little pockets. So, but VJ, I would, if you're looking around and you're looking to move to the area and you're wanting to know if you should even consider Peoria and Glendale, the answer is yes. And then if you come in and you drive it for yourself, take a look at the neighborhoods north of Cactus, take a look at neighborhoods south of Cactus, make your own decision on what, because there's going to be little pockets here and there that you may like or dislike either way. And then we can kind of do a little bit more research just based on what you're looking for specifically. But I would recommend, yes, you look at Peoria and Glendale always. Hopefully that helps.
And then just do your research online. It's awesome how much information you can find now by looking up crime reports and other information specific to that. So
and look, I've gone into that before too, where that's why it's hard for me. I don't know if I'll ever make a video on it per se, because everybody wants to know what the safe neighborhoods. But if you go onto the crime report maps, it's it looks like there's somebody getting shot everywhere across the entire state. It doesn't really give you any really good, I feel safe all the time here. But in our neighborhood, if you go on Nextdoor and you talk to people or you hear, it's hey, somebody, stole my bike the other day, or somebody stole this, or somebody broke it. You're going to hear stories about crime happening all over. We're in a big city. It happens. Knock on wood, thankfully, I haven't had to deal with it. I think I had my car broken into, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago. And that was when it was parked at a restaurant, at probably 11 at night, and somebody broke in and stole my Garmin. That's when I had a Garmin GPS in my car. Do you remember those, Rudy?
I do, man. Gosh, that's a collector's item now. If you still would have had it.
Remember, we all used to have those stupid things in our car, and have, that's how you get around. No.
Yeah.
I don't know if they even still exist anymore, but somebody broke into my car and took out a Garmin that probably, gave them, I don't know, $10, $15 worth of it. So yeah, kind of silly, but, and that was at 40th Street in Indian School across from the VIG. Props to the VIG. The VIG is great, but maybe don't park your car across the street at the Speedy Cash. But
all right.
I don't know. I like. It's fun to come up with these stories, Rudy. It makes me think about old times. But I just want people to know that there's stuff that goes on here that's maybe not the best all the time, and you can talk to a million people about something bad that happened to. But overall, I feel like. Most of the entire Phoenix Metro will give you a lot of positives versus the negatives, so be open to it.
Yeah, and my wife, she has an app on her phone. I don't remember the name. I'll get that from her, where it'll track where you are, and it'll give you police reports from your area. And we live in Scottsdale, and you would think that sometimes we live in a very, very, very dangerous part of town, because it just keeps going off. And it's, to your point, it's very small stuff that comes up. So you got to take that stuff with a grain of salt.
Yeah, be aware of it. Like, don't make good decisions, but don't let it completely affect your decision making. Because again, it's like jumping online on social media and just listening to all these negative comments about everything all the time. I mean, you think the world's coming to an end all the time if you watch that stuff all the time. So, um, just be a little bit, educate yourself, but don't let it affect you too much.
Well, speaking of negative news, I saw an article this morning that the term "when will the housing market crash" has jumped up 2,400% on Google or in Google, however you want to
Yeah,
call it. So
probably on
it
YouTube
is,
as well.
yeah, probably so. So
Yeah,
that is definitely a term that has been Googled
yeah.
an enormous amount of times. So it's interesting to hear that.
And I'm still wondering, like, I've looked for, like, people, I've watched a few of those videos because, again, I talk to everybody about this as well. When people are out coming in like, hey, is it a good time to buy a house? I'm like, well, my wife and I are trying to buy a house as well. Like, we're in the same boat. And so we don't want to make a bad decision. So we want to buy and, like, know that it's like, hey, the market's just not going to fall out next year, and we're all gonna, we're gonna be totally underwater. So I'm in the same boat. So I'm looking at that type of stuff too. We've done videos on this. Look at some of our other videos we've done in the past. Not only our live conversations where we talk about this each week, Rudy, but Chip and I have done some stuff where we've thrown out some research. Let me preface this first. I don't think it's going to happen based on everything we're seeing stat-wise. I don't see a crash coming. And it's funny because now people are finally starting to turn around on these videos, and it's like they did a crash video, and now they're like, why it's not going to crash. So people are doing the same thing. But the stats don't back it up, and everything that we're seeing doesn't back it up. Now, I always tell people, is this sustainable as far as like the values is keeping going up? And of course not. Like, that's not going to continue. So when does it slow down? That is anybody's guess. And but we are starting to see, like, demand will come down a little bit as prices go up, just because not as many people are going to be able to buy. So when we get to that point where not as many people can buy, then of course, like, there's going to be an increase in supply. Interest rates might tick up a little bit, and then all of a sudden you got less people that can make a move. People just start bailing out of the market altogether, and then we'll start seeing a leveling off. That's how I see it going. We'll see what happens. I don't know if you've seen anything contrary.
Well, the math and the economics speak for themselves, and the facts are what we can go off of. And the facts are, there is going to be still, for a foreseeable future, a shortage of supply. There are more and more homeowners or potential homeowners at the prime age of homeownership entering the market, i.e. millennials. Millennials, the largest adult living class right now in the country now. They've surpassed baby boomers. Are at the prime age of homeownership, and they're not slowing down. And yes, rates are going to go up. Yes, prices are still growing at a faster rate than wages are increasing. All this is going to point to a slowdown, but then there's still such a shortage of building out there. There's still a shortage of homeowners that don't want to sell their houses because they can't find another house because there's still a shortage. And there's still more and more buyers just flooding the market due to the ability to work remotely, due to wanting to live out in the suburbs now, for safety reasons or for coronavirus reasons. And some of the experts that I've heard are predicting that in as little as 2 years to as long as 5 years, we're still going to see this happening. So time will tell. It might be less than that. It might be longer than that.
Yeah, and look, none of us have the crystal ball. We always talk about there's any little weird event that nobody expects could come up and cause a shift in any market, not just the housing market, but. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Obviously, the whole COVID thing changed everything last year. Like, it changed everything. So well, you never know when you're going to have that type of thing come up. Real quick, let's get back to VJ here. Or it might be he or she, I'm not sure. Arrowhead Ranch is the area I'm looking into. I'm planning on moving from Minneapolis, so it can't get much worse than my city. I'm very excited for nice winters, lack of humidity, lack of bugs, and what are some things to expect? Yeah, VJ, number one, excited to have you here. I know we have some family up in Minneapolis. It's great during the summer. Obviously not as much during the winter. You got crazy freezing temperatures, a lot of snow. So, and I'm sure your market, look, Minneapolis is probably a more expensive market than what we have here in Phoenix. Or maybe starting to be comparable. I'm sure you guys have some crazy stuff going on too there. When it comes to Arrowhead Ranch, Arrowhead's fantastic. You're in good shape in Arrowhead. I would definitely not worry about any of that. That 85308 zip code is fantastic. So, anything up in that zip code area around Arrowhead, you should be in good shape. So feel good about that. And then, yeah, lack of bugs. Yeah. Have you been out here, VJ? I think maybe you have by your messages. So all good. And then Momo, we've got a comment from Momo as well. I've seen videos on YouTube how people say the bad areas are like Maryvale, Central Phoenix. Is that true? Maryvale is a spot that tends to probably get the worst press here in the area. So I would agree with that for the most part. I have not spent a ton of time in Maryvale looking at homes lately, so I'm going to reserve a little bit of judgment. Maybe things are improving, but definitely Maryvale is typically not the best area. I know Avondale, like I hadn't been looking too much in Avondale and then I saw on the Cromford report that it's got the highest buyer index of anywhere in Arizona. So that was surprising a little bit to me. So I'm going to reserve a little bit of judgment, but most parts. Now, Central Phoenix, depending on where you're at in Central Phoenix, like a lot of Central Phoenix is fantastic. So don't discount that. I would say, depending on what you're looking for, there are a lot of amazing areas here in Phoenix that I think are great. There's going to be a few pockets that you want to be cautious about, as always, but it's such a big area that those are when you want to give us a call directly and set up a time, jump on a Zoom call with us, and we can actually discuss areas specifically when you start looking around for homes. So, we got Rudy. I'll jump back and let you jump in. We've got more comments coming in, but just any response as I ramble on.
No, you hit everything spot on. Every city in the country, for the most part, I hate to say everyone, but most will have its pockets. And yeah, it's one of those where, like, if you're not here, reach out to us and we're happy to assist you the best that we can. And if you're looking at specific areas that might have pockets, then we can certainly help you with that and just provide guidance and be your eyes and ears as best as possible.
Yeah, no, 100%, and that's where those calls come into play. VJ's like, I've been to Vegas, not AZ yet. Well, there are a lot of similarities except for the Strip. Like, get rid of the Strip. From a climate perspective, it's about the same. I think we look a little bit better here than Vegas does overall. There's what's the city just north of Vegas that looks like Scottsdale? Rudy, do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't. Oh, is it Reno?
Not Reno. No.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm spacing on now. There's like Somerton or Somerville. I don't know. It'll come to me like in probably 10 minutes. But there's a good spot outside of Vegas that's very similar to Scottsdale that I like. But overall, the city of Vegas, I don't think is going to be as nice as what we have here in Arizona. And then Momo, okay, thanks. Planning to visit around May. Excited. That's awesome. Reach out to us. We'll help guide you. Like anytime people are coming out to tour around, then like we'll help be like, hey, this is where you need to tour if you're thinking about making a move. There's a lot of places to visit. Hopefully, you get a lot of time out here to kind of drive around a little bit. But definitely reach out, and we'll set up a Zoom call to help guide you in the right direction.
It's not Sunrise Manor, is it?
No.
Okay. I'm just looking at a map of Vegas. And yeah.
I appreciate you trying to hook me up, Rudy. So somebody might jump in here. Let me see if anybody's.
Any Vegas folks out there?
Let's see. VJ's jumped back in. I really enjoyed the lack of bugs, lack of humidity. The city's very dangerous right now. High schooler looking to go to college in Phoenix. Yeah, it's a bummer with what's going on in Minneapolis and everything that's happened. It really is such a great town, and I'm hoping that they turn the corner. I know as a country we've got some things that we're trying to work on, but yeah, it's sad to see, but hopefully the move out here to Arizona is a good one for you, and you can find a cool place to live out here and get your education. And I moved out here in '93, my junior year in high school. Came out here, moved from Colorado, originally from California, and it's been a great place for me ever since. So I hopefully it has the same fit for you.
Man, you're old, Greg.
I am old. It's true, Rudy. I feel old sometimes. I'm young at heart, I think. So.
That's all that matters, man.
Yeah. Momo, places like Mesa, Tempe, Chandler, all good. Yes. Yeah, I think, there's going to be, there's, again, little pockets here and there. And again, it depends on what kind of home you're looking for, what your budget is, any lifestyle things you're looking for. But yes, Mesa, Tempe, Chandler, make sure to take a look at all three of them. Make sure to take a look everywhere. There's we'll help guide you. Like, hey, this neighborhood might be the one that you want to stay away from. We'll help you on that, but be open to it. Unless you're trying to find a spot that you're like, hey, I'm going to be working in this spot and I need to commute. If you don't have something like that situation where you're going to have to commute, then be open to spots.
I will say one thing about the Phoenix metro area is that lifestyle is, I feel like here, such a huge driving force or factor in your decision making versus some of the other cities and states that I've visited. And I say that because there's so much to do in the Phoenix metro area. There's so many parks and trails, and you're close to, Flagstaff, San Diego, Vegas, so many different places. And the commute time, if you do have to commute, aren't that bad. So you could drive for a little bit and maybe sacrifice the quote unquote commute to live somewhere else for a lifestyle reason. And I love that about living here or living there, is that you're just around so much stuff, and you can just enjoy the city and what it offers, whether it be restaurants or parks or outdoor, or you just want to be out in the middle of nowhere because that's kind of your style. It doesn't really matter. Lifestyle, I think, is like a huge selling point in your decision making.
Well, and thankfully, all the area, like if you're living out in Peoria or Glendale or Surprise on the west side, Goodyear, or you're living in Mesa, Chandler, Gilbert, Queen Creek, I mean, they're all going to have little differences here and there.
Yeah.
But they all are close to like great hiking, and they all have cool little entertainment districts that you can go to that have like good shopping and dining. And they're going to have really cool where if you like to find a good spot at home and you're like, hey, most of my lifestyle is going to be like hanging at home and just enjoying myself, and I just want to be close to having like a cool spot to go, leisurely out to go hike or bike. And make sure that I'm close enough to like shopping, as far as grocery shopping and like a cool coffee spot. Like they all have it. Like they all have it, and so it's really like commute wise, like if you have to work in downtown Phoenix and you're living in Queen Creek, then yeah, that's probably not going to be the best fit for you. Or if you really like certain aspects of like some of the, most desired neighborhoods are like, hey, look, I allow to be in Scottsdale because that's just it's good for me business wise. It's good for me from a scene perspective. It's the lifestyle I'm looking for. Then yeah, we're gonna guide you in that direction. But if you're open to lots of stuff, there's so many places in Arizona that have a lot to offer. So you don't pigeonhole yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's one big thing. Definitely when I hear people talk about when you and I, Greg, meet with people that are relocating here, and we ask them what's important. The topic of lifestyle is always part of the conversations.
Yep.
And it's awesome because depending on where you're living, really you don't have to sacrifice lifestyle. You really can find some awesome spots all over.
100%. And I see, as much as I've driven through so many areas and neighborhoods, I see new stuff, literally almost every day when I'm out shopping around with people.
Yeah.
And I always find like, hey, this looks cool. I was up in Anthem, last week with one of our buyers and looking around up there. It'd been a little while since I had been up to Anthem. I knew it was nice, but I was just like cruising around. I was like, there's a lot I like about Anthem. It's very cool. It's a cool little family community. It's got a lot of little parks and stuff with like water slides and like cool little places for kids and stuff like that. Now the buyer we're working with on that one, he thought it was like a little too cookie cutter for him, which I totally get. So it's not going to be perfect for everybody, but you're not going to know until you come out and check it out. So everybody's going to be different. We try to guide people the best we can. VJ and Momo got the thank yous from you guys. Absolutely glad to help out, and thank you guys for jumping in and asking a few questions. We're always happy to have people join us on the call. So Rudy, I know you've got to get back to the family. Kind of get your weekend going. I like your background because it looks like you have like a lot of awards in the back, so that's cool. We want to say congrats. It makes you look you just got your like master's and maybe your doctorate or something.
Shout out to my father-in-law, Jim Robbins, for all of his accolades and hard work throughout his career. He's now happily retired, but it's proof behind me that the guy's kind of a big deal. So
nice. That's for Jim. That's not Rudy. So okay.
That's not me.
We'll get some accolades. I've got a big green screen on the back of my wall, Rudy.
Shout out to Greg for his accolades on the green screen.
I'll put some accolades up on that green screen. Maybe I'll just take a screenshot of this one here, and then I'll put it up on my green screen for next week.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, that's not a bad for a background. A bunch of diplomas and trophies are probably a good idea.
Yeah, I like it. All right, brother. Well, good to catch up, even though you're out of town. Thank you for taking the time. Tell the wife we said thank you for giving up a little bit of your time. You guys go out, enjoy. Watch out for good deals on houses out there. We want to keep you in Arizona if we can.
No, we're ready to get back. So no, absolutely. I'll tell everybody you said hi.
Sounds good, brother. All right, everybody, have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.